Nchini yameungana kuadhimisha miaka 15 tangu kuidhinishwa kwa katiba ya mwaka 2010 katika hafla iliyoandaliwa jijini Nairobi. Maadhimisho haya yanaambatana na tangazo rasmi la Rais William Ruto la kutenga tarehe 27 Agosti kwa siku ya kuadhimisha katiba ya mwaka 2010, ingawa si siku kuu ya kitaifa. Siku hii itaadhimishwa na taasisi zote za serikali, shule na balozi za Kenya kwa kushirikiana katika shughuli ya uraia kama mikutano na ya hadhara, warsha za kijamii na kampeni za elimu kwa wananchi, ikiwa ni ukumbusho kwa Wakenya wote kuhusu wajibu wao wa kulinda na kutekeleza katiba.
Ambassador Okara here, I can see. Kigoro here. Look, so we are today learning from each other. May you be seated. Thank you so much. Now, so Davis, you will come give us a brief, overview of where we are, because we are all aware that this Katiba has not been fully implemented 15 years later on. And then we will have the representative of the Principal Secretary, State Department for Justice, Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs. We have the representative of Honorable Judy Pareno, Trufosa Achar, who will come after Maloma. Then we'll have a break to do a media brief to speak to the country of what we've resolved in this celebration today. Karibu sana. May we clap for Malombe?
Viva, comrade, viva. Long live the new constitution, long live. Our chief guest, which as declared by Nora, is the Constitution of Kenya. We commit our allegiance to you. Today is a great day. I'm very happy being part of this commemoration. We have done this from 2013. And as Diana said, we don't need to be reminded by the violator of the Constitution that today is a day to remember how far we have come. I was in Bomas actually for 1 year as an observer. It's also good to clarify that. We are helping delegates who are running a tent called Safeguarding the Gains of Women in the Constitution. So we were there from the first day, I think it must have been on 23rd of March 2003, to 15th of March 2004, when the AG, that time Amos Wako, received the Constitution, but he refused to accept it as the AG of the Republic of Kenya. Imagine he received the Constitution as a delegate of Bomas. So you can see how far we have come. I remember a few days before the day we adopted the Constitution on 27th, there was an attempt by the deep state to also rig some provisions between Parliament and government printer, but those attempts were also thwarted by the civil society actors. I remember on 26th of August, a day before we adopted the Constitution, Mr. Mwai Kibaki made a lot of appointments to preempt the accountability which was expected under the new Constitution. On Katiba Day, I will never forget, this is the day the defilement of the Constitution started. George, remember that was the day ICJ was leading the arrest of this criminal called Bashir, who was also a part of the Uhuru Park process. And imagine that day we are adopting the most progressive constitution. People were briefly arrested. So you can see how far the executives of this country have been uncommittal on the spirit and the letter of the Constitution. And then I also remember we had said, some of us, if the new Constitution is not adopted, we might quit from the struggle because there would be any inspiration to sustain the struggle, because we have been in this space pushing for the new Constitution for many years. So we thought, in case it doesn't make it, so what is going to be our basis for inspiration for the third liberation? But thank God we have the new Constitution, which is quite progressive, and it has a lot of promises. And one of the things the executive and the legislature and the judiciary does not appreciate is that the Constitution is very clear. The authorities within those institutions is also derived from the people back to Article 1. So what are the challenges right now? And this is part of the reflections we were having yesterday under Kenya Land Alliance around the struggles of our time. And these are some of the things we had picked for discussion today as we talk about raising and defending. So some of the areas where the executives have been non-interested in the implementation are the areas where transformation was expected, and then this is where the elite capture has rested from colonial to date. Let's talk about a few things. One is land justice. So the Katiba is very clear on what is supposed to be done on land reforms. But what has happened is status quo. Capture of land by the elite. And you know land is a critical factor of production. So that area, we have tried to move things, but there is no proper transformation. Number two, security. Security, because that's where the state has monopoly of violence. So that area has remained extremely repressive, actually despite the fact that the Constitution forced the vetting of police officers, forced the exit of the then head of police, Mr. Itere. So police was one of the most segregated institutions, but it has refused to align with the Constitution. The other area is elections, and the mole is here. So that is one of the other areas where we haven't been able to see change. And why is that important? Because that's where power is accessed by the political elite. So those are some of the areas we have seen a lot of resistance, because that's where real power, and of course the question of public finance, where Treasury has been given excess powers, and then there's been massive corruption. So those 5 areas are where the elite have refused to change and to align with the provisions of the Constitution. So from where we sit, I think we have just 2 ways forward. Between now and 2027 is to ensure accountability and implementation and oversight. Beyond that, we must have alternative leadership, which is going to remain faithful to the letter and the spirit of the Constitution. And when we talk about this leadership, it's not just about the national executive. We need to capture and have progressive leaderships at all levels. Imagine if within the county assemblies, we had people who are transformative. It means governors would be held to account, and then all the abuses of public resources would be happening at the county levels. And in case you want to beat the president, you need the county assemblies. We need progressive Senate and National Assembly, which is not captured by the executive, because that will be able also to hold whoever we are going to appoint at the national level. So we completely need a new authority leadership, and that is the call for all of us, that we must organize politically, and we must ensure there's accountability when it comes to compliance with the Constitution. In a few weeks, now I think within the next 2 weeks, we will be talking about the 3rd year since this regime was sworn into office. We are very clear, sworn into office. We don't talk about elected, sworn into office. So we'll be issued now the 3rd report card, because they were sworn in, I think, on the 13th of September 2022. So in 2 weeks now, we are going to be issuing a report card for 3 years. When we did the midterm review, which was 2.5 years in April this year, we discovered the regime has completely failed on matters of constitutionalism.
Na mpenzi mtazamaji, ni mjadala kuhusiana na katiba miaka 15, na kwa sasa tuendeleze na taarifa.